Hello and welcome to New Play Day on Shakesyear. New Play Day, New Play Day. We're starting in on Othello, which is going to be interesting. And this is one that I have some complicated feelings about because it's a brilliant play. Let's just state that. There's so much in here, and it's like fantastic studies of the psyche and all sorts of things like that. But this is also probably the only Shakespeare play where the ethnicity of one of the characters matters, and is written in and is referenced as often as it is. And this is one where a lot of black men have stereotypically been told that like they can only play Othello, which I don't think is correct. But I do think that as much as I feel like diversity in age and gender and ethnicity and sexual preference and all that sort of stuff should be incorporated more into Shakespearean plays, this is one play where I feel like if you're going to give the character of Othello to somebody who is not black, it should not go to a white person. It should go to another person of color. And I'm sorry if that is weird or offensive or anything like that, but I'm like, this is an opportunity to not whitewash Shakespeare. Here is to continue to keep that character a person of color. At the very least, I think that the person playing Othello needs to be of a different ethnicity than the rest of the people in the play, or the majority of the rest of the people in the play, because racial tensions and racial perceptions do factor in a lot. And yes, you could revise the play and take out some of those references and tone it down a little bit and that sort of thing, but I feel like it loses some of it lowers the stakes in order to do that. When you take out this component that can be so charged, if you take that out and make this just sort of like mundane happenings, then it loses something. So anyway, that all aside, if you want to chat more about that, if you want to debate that, if you want to refute that, if you want to agree with that, whatever, please leave me a comment, because I like to discuss this kind of stuff. I might be coming at it from a place of ignorance, and I don't know, because it's a place of ignorance. So please, if you have other thoughts on that, let me know in the comments. So anyway, that said, we kick this off in Venice, because so many Shakespearean plays don't take place in England, which also bothers me that everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people think that Shakespeare has to be done with a British accent. It does not. Most of his plays don't even take place there. Anyway, so this one takes place in Italy, and we start out with Iago. We're going to be hearing a lot from Iago, and we get to take our time with this play because there's a lot of monologues, and a lot of them are Iago. But we start out with Iago and Roderigo is like, tell me you hate him. And Iago's like, yeah, I hate him. And he's like, 'cause I heard that you didn't. And Iago says, despise me if I do not. 3 great ones of the city, in personal suit to make me his lieutenant, off kept to him. And by the faith of man, I know my price. I am worth no worse a place. But he, as loving his own pride and purposes, evades them with a bombast circumstance horribly stuffed with epithets of war, none suits my mediators. For certes, he says, I have already chose my officer. And what was he? Forsooth, a great arithmetician, one Michael Cassio, a Florentine, a fellow almost damned in a fair wife, that never set a squadron in the field, nor the division of a battle knows more than a spinster, unless the bookish theoretic, where the tongued counsels can propose as masterly as here. Mere prattle without practice is all his soldiership. But he, sir, had the election, and I, of whom his eyes had seen the proof, at Rhodes, at Cyprus, and on other grounds, christened and heathen, must be lead and calmed by debtor and creditor. This countercaster, he in good time must his lieutenant be, and I, bless the mark, his moorship's ancient. So, Iago's not happy when we start off this play. And what he's talking about, they're mostly talking about Othello, and when they call him his Moorship, it's because he's a black man, and they used to refer to black men as Moors back then because of their lineage, whatever. So Othello the Moor, he's the black general. And he's a great general, and he was looking for a lieutenant, and at least 3 people were kissing his butt to try to become his lieutenant, one of them being Iago, and Iago was like, I deserve that job, I proved myself for that job, I totally should have got that job. But Othello gave the job to Michael Cassio instead, who's like a statistician and a mathematician and all these sorts of things, not a soldier. And Iago doesn't understand why the job went to Cassio when somebody way more qualified, Iago, was there presenting himself. So because of this, he hates Othello. Just keep this in mind as we go through the rest of the play. I'm not going to give you too much more today on what happens after this because tomorrow's monologue is only like 3 lines away or something like that, and it's more Iago. But just keep in mind as we go through this whole play that like everything that happens in this play is because Othello didn't give Iago the job that Iago thought he should get. Just keep that in your back pocket. And I'll see you tomorrow when we dig in further. Mwah.